Staying with crime and that particular story around the Transport Minister, Gauteng Police Commissioner Elias Mawela says his office identified 10 hotspots in 2021 that needed urgent infrastructure improvement for the sake of safety. Now, he says he wrote to the then Premier, but he never ever received a response. And today he's talking about this. Our reporter Heidi Giokos has spoken to him, joins us in studio. Now, Heidi, let's be clear. This is a direct response to what happened to the Transport Minister that he gave you.
Absolutely, Sally. We do know that the Provincial Police Commissioner, General Elias Mawela, had written to then Premier David Makhura in 2021, exactly on the 14th of April, highlighting about 10 national and provincial roads that need urgent attention, specifically speaking about street lights or possible floodlights, because those areas are extremely dark, and this gives access to criminals to do as they please, because this is where hijackings happen, this is where spikes are thrown into the road, this is where big rocks are thrown into the road, and this is where criminals, it's basically their playing ground. So this is when the Provincial Commissioner said it's all good and well to have resources given to the provincial police to assist in terms of patrolling, to identify these hotspot areas, but it's very different when you can't use these vehicles because of how bad these roads are. There's huge infrastructure challenges, and the Provincial Commissioner saying that the fact that he highlighted this back in 2021 and absolutely nothing was done about it. He didn't receive a response, and he didn't only message or send this letter to the then Premier, he also sent it to the Director General within the Gauteng Department
of Transport.
Yeah, the provincial department. So in the Premier's office, the Director General, as well as the Department of Transport nationally, but also provincially, to say this needs to be addressed, highlighting why it needs to be addressed, and also listing the roads. Before we look at some of those routes and roads that were highlighted, let's just listen to what the Provincial Police Commissioner exclusively told the eNCA.
2021, in the height of all this spiking in the province, we have done a docket analysis, and we have done our crime pattern analysis to can check where are these incidents of spiking happening. And then we have identified 10 roads, provincial and national roads, whereby the environmental design of those roads were not favorable for effective policing. And because criminals, they commit crime, especially in those areas whereby it is not favorable for effective policing. And what we have identified in those roads, provincial and national roads, we have found that it is dark. There's no street, there's no lighting in that particular space. So what I did from my part, because of the Premier of Gauteng then, Premier Makhura, gave me the BMWs to patrol the freeways. I said, yes, I have the resources to can patrol, but also the environmental design of these roads need to be attended to. As a result, I brought it to the attention of the DG, Department of Transport, nationally, because they are responsible for national roads. I've also brought it to the attention of the HOD Transport at the province. But the Premier was copying him through his late Director General to say that, take note, this is what I am putting in place. I'm requesting this department to can see the challenges I'm experiencing when I police this road, so that they can put it in their plans.
I mean, Heidi, he sounds frustrated, as one would be if you'd written a letter 2.5 years ago saying, guys, we need to take action. And then the Transport Minister is a victim of this crime where they throw spikes across the road, it punctures your tyres, you have to stop, and then you are robbed, which is what happened to her in the early hours of Monday morning. Now, she was on, I think, the N3 between Vosloorus and Heidelberg. Talk to me about the routes that he highlighted. Was that road one of them?
That road was not one of them, but there are a number of roads. Perhaps we can just have a look at what some of these roads include. And while we speak to some of these routes, let's just also speak to the fact that The Provincial Commissioner said that this could have actually been averted. What the minister went through could have been averted. So he speaks about the N4 West to Brits. He speaks about the N4 East to Bronkhorstspruit. The N1 from Midrand, I think that is quite an important one because we have been seeing a lot of reports about that road. The Ben Schoeman Road from Midrand to the Kgosi Mampuru Correctional Centre. N1 South from Naturena to the Vaal River. So it's all in all, it's 10. If you could just have a look at some of these roads. The N12 Golden Highway to Potchefstroom, and I'll tell you why this route is significant, because I actually asked the Provincial Commissioner about the Golden Highway, and I asked him about the accident that happened with Joledi Matonga, the former mayor of the city of Johannesburg. He had a terrible accident on that route, and the Provincial Commissioner said, that route is highly problematic because there are no lights on that particular route.
And he died in that accident.
And he died in that accident. And one of the concerns was that that route was just not lit enough. There were not enough street lights.
And also it seems that where the Transport Minister's car was stopped, also a very, very dark area. Now, the Provincial Commissioner is so adamant, he even showed you a copy of the letter. And I think
he didn't show me a copy of the letter. We got the letter. And he said, how did you get your hands on that letter? But let's have a look at...
That's good journalism work.
Yes, but let's actually have a look at...
These are the people he sent it to, right?
Yes, so you can see it's the Director General, the Department of Transport, with the name for attention, the Head of Department for Department Roads and Transport. So it's obviously the Director General, the Head of Department for Department Roads and Transport, as well as the Director General in the Office of the Premier, which directly goes to the Premier.
And he signed it, so it's clearly his letter. He's confirmed he wrote it. We're not going to tell him how we got it. But the point is well made, Heidi, that problem areas are being flagged by hard-working police officers.
Absolutely. And what I find really important here is that the Provincial Police Commissioner highlighted this. He had foresight into this, given that many of the crime stats that come out show that these particular routes are very problematic. And I find it extremely telling, Sally, that this was signed on the 14th of April 2021. And when I asked the Provincial Commissioner, do you, in your opinion, in your view as to what's happened with the Minister of Transport, do you think that this could have been averted? And he said, absolutely. This could have been averted if these roads were looked after and if they actually just listened to my letter.
And quickly, Heidi, have you had a response from the now Premier, Panyaza Lesufi's office, or from the Department of Transport?
Yes, so the Premier's office has responded. They are not aware of this communication because it was sent to then Premier David Makhura, but they are looking into it so that they can address it to deal with the issues of provincial roads, because national will fall under the Department of Transport.
All right, Heidi, thank you so much. This is an important story and I know that you'll stay on it, so let's hope we get an update soon and something is done about those roads. Heidi Giokos, our reporter on that story. And still ahead, we're going to continue this conversation around crime in South Africa and focus in on safety of women in this country. Not only what happened to our Transport Minister. As a woman, it seems you can't even be surrounded by bodyguards, you're still unsafe, but also this tragic story that happened during a park run here in a park in Johannesburg. A young teacher raped and murdered just a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely horrific. Even on an